There's one thing that we got to do, man, is we have to endure. All right. We have to overcome. And, we are more than conquerors through him who loves us. That's what we got to understand, man. So that should be your daily motivation. Every time you wake up, you understand that no matter what you face, if you are in Yahawashi, then you're armed for success. You have everything that you need to overcome, to endure, to make it through the other side of whatever you're facing. All right. So be of good courage. All right. When you're walking in this truth, in spite of everything that you see, because you will see things and you will hear things and you will feel things. All right. That could persuade you, you know, otherwise from, you know what I mean, from your belief. All right. But don't let it, because that's what the enemy does. The enemy knows your weaknesses and your vulnerabilities and your insecurities, and will play on them in order to get you out of this truth, in order to get you off of this path and get you on that broad path. All right, to go through that wide gate. All right, we know that that leads to destruction. So we got to keep ourselves, guarded spiritually, man, against all these things. That's why you should be a prayer warrior. You should be constantly in prayer. You know what I mean? I don't mean you never stop praying, but I mean, just your prayer life should be to the point where you're just praying all the time. You know what I mean? It doesn't take long to do a prayer. You don't got to sit there and just, and be inside of a prayer for 10 minutes or something. As a matter of fact, we're told to avoid praying like that. That's the way the heathen pray. That's the way the hypocrites pray, right? The Pharisees pray like that and so forth. Don't do that. All right. But what you should do is join me in giving all praise, honor, and glory to our Heavenly Father, Yahawah, in the name of our Heavenly King, Hamashiach Yahawashi, giving thanks now and always for the gifts, for the outpouring, and the presence of His Holy Spirit. All right. And so I want to talk today about dedicated service, because that's what we should be in this ministry. It's dedicated. All right. That's what our service should be. It's dedicated. All right. Our lives should be dedicated to this thing, because we know that our lives are not our own, that we don't belong to ourselves, that we have been purchased with a great price. All right. That doesn't mean that you don't do anything but study and don't do anything but pray and don't do anything but make lessons. No, that's not the truth according to the Bible. Men might teach you that. You might see people out here, in the community, trying to tell you that if you watch movies or if you're ever doing anything outside of studying the Bible, then you're going off, and that's just not true. All right, and there are no scriptures that can support that. Only the commandments of men. All right. But what you should be doing is you shouldn't be distracted with everything in this world to the point where you're not giving any time to this thing. You're not giving any time to relationship building. Just like any relationship, man, you don't spend all your time under your wife or under your husband. You let them breathe. They go their way for part of the day. You go yours. You guys may be in the same house at the same time, but you're doing different things. You're not just always talking. You're not always interacting. You're not always hugging. You're not always kissing. You're not always just laying up with each other. No, not always, but you do put your time into that. That's the nature of a relationship. And the relationship with our power should be similar. All right. He's not requiring for us to do nothing but pray. He's not requiring for us to do nothing but study. But no, but you got to put your time in to praying. You got to put your time into studying. That's, part of having a relationship. Any relationship that you have in this world would die if you didn't put any time into it. But if you put too much time into it, then it can have an adverse effect. All right. But that's not really true with the Most High. All right. Except for this part is that, you can burn yourself out. You can burn yourself out. That's what I'm saying. The Most High doesn't even require for us to burn out that way. He understands that your brains, your minds need a rest. You need a break. You need to reset. You need to reboot. Sometimes you just, that's why sleep is necessary, right? That's why sleep is necessary. Your brains need to rest sometimes. All right. And so he doesn't just keep pouring into your cup and not allowing, for you to drink any of it. All right. And so again, that's why he leads us beside still waters. All right. If you can dig it. But all right, dedicated service. All right. Stay in the course. when the road gets hard. This is difficult to do. All right. So this is what I want to touch on. All right. So the road is narrow and few stay on it. All right. So let's be real. All right. The hardest part of this walk isn't always what we're learning. All right. It's what we're fighting through, where we're up against. All right. Like distractions. The distractions are many. They're plenteous. Offenses, also many and plenteous. Trials. All right. You can't be in this walk without them. Personal struggles. All right. That's part of this thing, man. You got to endure these things. We were told that we would endure these things, and we got to pick up our cross and carry it. That's what it means, is to endure your trials and your personal struggles. All right. Don't be whining about them and complaining and acting as if the Most High has forsaken you and doesn't love you because you're experiencing it. All right. You got to understand that He does love you, and that's why you're experiencing it. All right. You're being prepared for something great. You're being made ready for something amazing. All right. That everyone else isn't going to be privy to. All right. So endure it with joy for the great hope that is set before you. All right. So, spiritual warfare. Spiritual warfare. This is our biggest obstacle. Our biggest enemy is the one we can't see. Or I should say, the biggest enemies are the ones that we cannot see, because they are many of the spiritual variety. But you don't need to be concerned or worried about them as long as you abide in Yahawashi. You abide in the vine, you're going to be good. All right. And whether or not you're abiding in the vine, it will show through how you feel. Having feelings of depression and stress and anxiety, you might have disconnected from the vine. All right. Starting to feel like everybody around you doesn't care about you and nobody loves you. And, starting to feel like that. You start to feel lonely. You disconnected from the vine, because when you're connected to the vine, that you're never lonely. He comforts you. His spirit is always with you. His presence, He's always there. And so you never feel lonely. Even when there's no one else around, you don't feel lonely. You see? And you being isolated is part of Him wanting to have a relationship with you. When He's isolating you, in the world, away from other people and different lifestyles and things that you would probably get yourself into if you weren't isolated. You're isolated to save you from those things, and so that you can build a relationship with Him that will be your safety, when you endure bigger things. All right. So some of us are barely hanging on. And it's not because we don't believe, but because we are weary. All right. We're wounded and we're discouraged. This is natural. You know, this is what comes with being a human or being a person. These are natural feelings and things that you're going to experience. But again, when you abide in Him and He in you, He comforts you and He takes these things away. All right. Again, that's why the scriptures tell us, don't get weary in well doing. Don't get tired and exhausted with doing good, with being isolated. All right. Don't get weary and exhausted with not being able to be out there in the world and be a part of the world and doing everything that the world does and having a bunch of friends and going on trips and doing all these different things with your friends and everything else. You got to let go of that. You got to let go of it, because you got to understand that everybody who is not in Him, they're going to die or become enslaved. All right. And you have a special thing. All right. And this special thing is going to save you, but it's not going to save them. All right. So you're being disconnected so that you don't have those relationships that you can't let go of, or so that you aren't discouraged when something inevitably happens to those individuals because they aren't covered like you are. So that you aren't heartbroken when something happens to those people because they aren't covered like you are. So you're disconnected, right? So you don't have all of these intense feelings that you have for people who, you have a relationship with, who you speak to or you hang out with on a regular basis. All right. So this lesson is for those who still believe. still love the truth, but need strength to keep going. Because in these days, in these last days, our Father Yahawah, the Most High, is watching for who's truly dedicated to him. All right. And he knows your heart. All right. He knows your mind. He know if you're just paying lip service or if you really love him. All right. So Yahawashi told us that it wouldn't be easy. So we shouldn't expect it to be easy. Let's go to Matthew chapter 7. Verse 13. The narrow and wide gates. Enter ye in at the straight gate, right? The difficult gate. For wide is the gate, and broad is the way that leadeth to destruction, and many there be which go in thereat. All right. So we're told off the bat that, that we are to enter in at the straight gate, the difficult gate. All right. The difficult gate is the one that's least traveled, the least amount of people are going through, the hardest one to walk through. All right. And it's difficult to walk through for multiple reasons. All right. And we just covered them, like, the peer pressure and spiritual warfare and, the things that we feel and experience in this flesh can all be detriments to us remaining on the straight and narrow path, right? That's where that term comes from. Stay on the straight and narrow path. Yes, the straight and narrow path that leads to the straight gate, right? That leads, to everlasting life. All right. So enter ye in at the straight gate. So life is going to be difficult. Your road, your journey is going to be difficult. When you face difficulties, endure them. All right. Don't think that you're being forsaken. All right. Don't fall out of this thing. Don't run back into the world because you experience some difficulties. All right. When things get difficult, you get more into prayer. All right. That's what you do. That's how you respond to difficulties, is you respond with prayer. For wide is the gate, and broad is the way that leadeth to destruction, and many there be which go in thereat. Because straight is the gate, and narrow is the way which leadeth unto life, unto eternal life, everlasting life, and few there be that find it. All right. That means most Israelites aren't going to make it. That means Christianity can't be the straight gate. All right. It is the wide gate. It is the broad way. All right. The biggest religion. All right. It is the broad way. Islam is a broad way. Okay. And many which be that go in thereat. All right. And so the few of us who stay on the straight and narrow path, we are predestined unto life. And we're told that the journey to get there is going to be difficult. All right. The road is narrow. All right. Again, that means it gets tight. All right. It gets uncomfortable. All right. Hard to navigate. But he told us, all of this in advance so that we wouldn't think something strange is happening when things get hard. All right. So staying dedicated means not quitting when the path gets uncomfortable, understanding that it will at times. All right. So endurance is the proof of your faith. All right. Let's go to Hebrews 10. Verse 35. Cast not away, therefore, your confidence, which hath great recompense of reward. And our confidence is in Yahawashi. Our confidence is the fact that is knowing that these promises are going to be fulfilled, that the Most High's word is true, that he cannot lie. That's our confidence. All right. And our confidence has the repayment of reward. That's what you got to keep in mind when you start to endure hard things. Is you got to remember that you were told you're going to experience hard things, and that experiencing, enduring those hard things has a reward. For ye have need of patience. This is what he's letting us know, is that we need patience. We all need to have patience, all right? Because he's not going to move as fast as we would like. He's not going to do all the things that we expect him to do or want him to do, or he's not going to do them when that we expect him to do it or when we want him to do it. So we need to have patience, so that after ye have done the will of the Most High, you might receive the promise. You receive the promise after ye have done the will of our Father. That's the way this thing is set up. All right. All of us will accomplish his will one way or another, right? In righteousness or in wickedness. It was his will for you to go astray, for you to go down that path that leads away from him, because you weren't predestined, you know, to be among his elect. You aren't one of his chosen. You weren't pre-selected for salvation and for rulership and so forth. All right. But all of us will fulfill his will because this is his story. He is the author of this thing that we call life. All right. For yet a little while, and he that shall come will come and will not tarry. Now the just shall live by faith. All right. If you are of the just, you are a just person, then you are supposed to live by your faith. All right. Meaning you remain in it. You're constantly praying, because your faith means it causes you to believe in the Most High. Since you believe in him, you love him. Since you love him like anybody else that you love, you desire to have a relationship with them and to be close to them. That comes through prayer and through studying the word. So whether or not you have faith, it'll show in your actions. Do you pray? Do you study? That's the proof of your faith. If you aren't praying and you aren't studying, you have no faith. You can't claim to have faith, but you don't pray and you don't study. All right. But if any man draw back, all right, meaning you turn away from him and try to run back into the world, all right, my soul shall have no pleasure in him. But we are not of them who draw back unto perdition, but of them that believe to the saving of the soul. Okay, let's get Matthew 24, verse 13. But he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. All right. So let's not be quick to boast in knowledge if we're not enduring. Real service isn't shown in how fast you start. It's shown in how strong you finish, fam. This is a marathon. All right. It's not a sprint. So a lot of people get burnt out because they think it's a sprint and they come out of the gates, boom, they hit a pow, and they take off out of the blocks like they're running a 40-yard dash. Right? They give everything they got for 40 yards. And then they get there and they realize that the race ain't over. They realize, oh man, I still got to keep running. Wait a minute, it ain't over, but I just gave everything that I had. Next thing you know, you see these videos. Let me tell you why I'm no longer a Hebrew Israelite. Right? You start seeing stuff like that, man. You start hearing people say stuff like that, and it's just complete foolishness, man. Man, why I ran back to Christianity? Yeah, because Christianity didn't put any pressure on you to change. Yeah, right. In Christianity, you were allowed to remain a heathen. You were allowed to stay the same, right? You didn't have to be converted into a new creature when you're in Christianity, right? Christianity made you feel good, right? About not repenting, about not changing, about not being better or doing better, right? So you didn't endure. You didn't endure. You waved the white flag, you got weary, you got tired, you gave up. All right. So what do we got to do? We got to stay focused when distraction calls, because it will. All right. These demons, the spirits, they are out here, man. They have a job to do. They have a job, and they are doing their job around the clock with great zeal. Right? They have a great zeal to trip you up. They have an intense passion for separating you from your power. They love it. They want nothing more but to cause you to fall and to share that lake of fire with them when this thing is all said and done. All right, Luke 9, verse 62. And Yahawashi said unto him, no man having put his hand to the plow and looking back is fit for the kingdom of the Most High. What does that mean, put his hand to the plow? Well, it means he's begun the work in the ministry. All right. He's begun the work in this ministry, but it also can be a reference to putting his hand to the plow, meaning he's starting to work on himself to change. All right, to make his journey toward the Most High, because not all of us are called to be ministers. Not all of us are called into the service of the Most High, but we still have work to do, though. That don't mean you don't have work to do. No, you have to get your house in order. All right, that's work. All right. That's a work that everyone should be doing. All right. Even if teaching isn't your thing, you still need to be working on self. You still need to be working on your household, getting everybody in order, trying to get everybody into the ark and make sure everybody is good to go. All right. Because, like, you're a team, right? And no, every team is only as strong as its weakest link, as its weakest member. Right? There's a reason why we were told in the scriptures that um, if your eye should offend you, pluck it out. All right. So we're given this analogy of having body parts that are an offense to you, and you're told to pluck it out or remove it from your body. All right. Now, men, you have a family, right? Wives, children, whatever. Your family, they are your members. You are the head of that body. They are your members, meaning your body parts. The same way Yahawashi is our head and we are his body. We are like different pieces of his body, different body parts, right? And so he cares for his body. In the same way, you, the head, must care for your body. You don't just care for yourself, you have to care about the well-being of your body. And the analogy was saying that if there's any part of your body that offends, right, you get rid of it. Like, so if you have a wife and your wife is like Job's wife, she's not a believer. She hates the Most High. She hates him. And she hates that you are trying to have a relationship with him. That's a member. That's an eye that needs to be plucked out. Right? You have a child, right? Rebellious, doesn't love the Most High, right? Ain't on board, not a believer, right? Is contrary unto you. That individual can be the way that Satan, that demons and wicked spirits have access into your home, because that person is a weak link. They aren't spiritually guarded. So they are conduits for evil spirits. They are doorways for wicked spirits to come into your home and disrupt your life, disrupt your lives. So you separate. All right. So you, as a head, you got to understand that you have a job to do. You have work to do. You got to put your hand to the plow and leading your family, leading your household. All right. Being a man of the Most High Yahawah and getting your people, your members to follow you. All right. To be of one accord with you. That's also putting your hand to the plow. Again, and not looking back. Meaning you don't, desire to go back in the world. You don't miss things the way they were, the way they used to be, and you want, you want things to remain the same, right? You don't want Yahawashi to come, right? You don't want this world to be destroyed. You don't want this age to be destroyed, right? You want everything to remain. You want to keep enjoying, what I'm saying, your entertainment and your sports and everything else. Come on, like, we all enjoy a little entertainment. We all enjoy a little sports. The difference is, I look forward to the day when, it all shuts down, right? I can enjoy it, you know what I'm saying, to a degree while it's here, while I'm still here in the earth. But that'll mean that For one, I don't idolize celebrities. I hate celebrities. All right. I can look at sports and also recognize that a lot of these people is wicked, right? I'm from Los Angeles, right? Laker fan, right? I know LeBron James is a full-fledged fucking demon. Oops, my goodness. You see what just came out of me when I had to refer to this demon, right? Most of y'all ain't never heard me curse before, right? But my hatred of demons, that's how much I hate demons, right? That's how much I hate demons. I hate this individual, LeBron James. I hate him, but I'll still watch a Laker game because I don't have fandom, right? I enjoy the sport, and so I'll enjoy the sport through the team that I grew up watching, but I'm not invested in whether they win or lose. I don't care for any of these people as individuals, except for the fact that for Israelites, I pray that they can come out of wickedness, all right, that they can be saved. I pray for those who, are not in this truth, right? But I still recognize that these celebrities are idols, right? That they are separated from the Most High. That a lot of them are into satanic stuff. I don't have no love for them in that way, right? I don't look up to them or idolize them or reverence them or nothing like that. You see, that's how your heart and your mind has to be. And I can't wait for the Most High to come and put all this stuff to an end, right? If he brought the sports and everything to an end today, I wouldn't be disappointed. You feel what I'm saying? I wouldn't be depressed and be like, oh man, I need my basketball back. Man, I need me some football in my life. Nah, man, it's done. It's over. Finito. Can't wait for this world as in its present state to be done with, to be over, and for righteousness to reign, for Yahawashi to set this thing up in righteousness the way he desires, and for us to live the way he desires. But I'm thankful for what I have now, right? And I'll utilize the liberty that he has given me to, watch a little, enjoy a little entertainment, enjoy a little sports. But I never get out of my head what the truth is, about this world. So I'm not looking back and saying, man, I wish I would have, remained in the music industry. I wish I would have fulfilled, my desire to be in music. Oh man, I wish I would have, stayed the course and remained an athlete, man, and became a football player or a basketball player. Nah, I don't care about any of that. None of it. I'm happy to have been removed from all that. I'm so happy that the Most High made me lose the joy and the love of those things that I once had. I just don't have it anymore. And I'm not looking back like Lot's wife, sad and sad for the destruction of this place, hoping that it doesn't happen, right? Depressed, looking at the fall of this place like many are. I know people who call themselves being in this truth, yet, they were obsessed with the voting cycle and Trump versus Kamala, and, obsessed with these politics and everything else, and just obsessed with a lot of the things of this world, man, that they just can't let it go. Like, they aren't just looking at it and viewing it. No, they're invested. They are invested in these things, and they're being moved by them. They're depressed by election results or depressed by this and that, right? Following these sportsmen and being depressed when the team lose, and right, depressed when the team don't draft that guy they wanted or traded that guy they wanted, and just all of this stuff, man. This is looking back into the world, man. So I wanted y'all to see this through this commentary, that this is not just for, those of us who are in service in the ministry and teaching. All right, this can apply to you. All right, this can apply to you in your circumstances. If you are looking at the Most High, ladies, this is for you. If you are watching the Most High bring back masculinity, restore masculinity, right? Giving men an awareness of women. He did it all throughout the Bible, right? Trying to teach men about women. Now the red pill community exists, teaching men about women, because this is the Most High bringing his way back. If you are looking at this and you are fighting it, and you are depressed and you're hating it and you're wishing for the old day and the old way, you're looking back. You're looking back. You're not fit for him. You're not fit to make it into his kingdom. You're not fit to be saved. You're going to have the experience of Lot's wife. That's going to be your fate. All right. So just keep that in mind. All right. So, once we start this work, For those of us who are working, we don't turn back. All right. That means we can't let past trauma, family conflict, or even our own mistakes pull us off this road. All right. Don't let who you used to be, you know, be used against you, because people will do that, right? When you change, the people who knew you, not people who know you, the people who knew you, they won't ever let you stop being who you were, because they can never see anything but who you were. And they will try to always hold you accountable to who you were and treat you like who you were and not like who you've become. If you have anybody in your life who tries to keep you in that box of who you were, you got to disconnect from those people. All right. So well, we got to stay focused. We got to stay in forward motion. All right. So Yahawashi is looking for those who don't lose heart. All right. So, we got to serve even when it's quiet. All right. Let's get Galatians chapter 6. We want verse 9. And let us not be weary in well doing, as I stated before, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not. All right. That's the goal, is to, you got to have endurance, for the marathon. All right. It don't take a lot of endurance to sprint. All right. It takes endurance, though, to finish the race that is a marathon, to finish that race. All right. And so the goal is to faint not to faint. All right. Knowing that, you are going to reap the blessings and the rewards in due season. That should be your motivation. When tough times happen, you keep your eyes on the prize, so to speak. All right. Meaning all the promises. You remember the promises. That's why you got to stay in prayer and you got to continue to read the word, because this is where he comforts you. He brings things to your remembrance in the scriptures, right? And so he reminds you, oh yeah, I'm gonna face hard times. That's right. So I'm enduring hard times now, but he promises me, that I'll overcome, because he said I'm more than a conqueror through he who loves me. Oh, okay. That's supposed to make you strong. It reminds you, because the world, tough times, hardship can make you forget what you know. But if you stay in the word, you can never forget. Okay, let's go to 1 Corinthians 15, verse 58. And it reads, therefore, my beloved brethren, be ye steadfast, all right, constant, all right, firm, unmovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord. For as much as ye know that your labor is not in vain in the Lord. Now, some people will have you believe that this means you need to be doing lessons every day. You need to be teaching every single day. You can never take a day off. Otherwise, that's you looking back. You took your hand off the plow. That's not the teaching of the Most High. That's the teachings, the commandments of men. That's what they say. That's how they interpret what he's saying. But he never, ever says that. All right. He understands who we are as creatures. All right. And he says that he's given us liberty. What do you think that liberty is for? All right. It's not for us to do unrighteousness or wickedly. That's not what the liberty is for. All right. But it's for you to not be, relegated to a certain day in order to pray. You're not relegated to a certain day in order to study. You're not relegated to a certain day in order to fast, if that's what you want to do. Right? You're not relegated to a certain day to praise, to worship, right? To honor him and glorify him. All right. We have liberty. Right. If today, you're sick and you're not feeling great, the Most High ain't gonna kill you, and he ain't gonna punish you for not feeling good today. And so you didn't study today, or you didn't do a lesson today. All right. But as soon as you feel better, you're back to it. The Most High isn't mad at you for that time that, when you weren't feeling good. No, and sometimes the Most High will shut you down from teaching just so that he can talk to you. He'll put you in that spiritual cocoon so he can cause you to grow. He'll make you shut down from teaching just so he can cause you to grow. All right? Because for everything, there's a season. There's a time to teach and there's a time to be taught. Right? There's a time to teach and there's a time to cease from teaching. All right. You got to do as the Spirit moves you. All right. And not let anybody else, what they say or how the Spirit is moving them affect you. All right. This is your journey, your walk. You got to pray and listen to the Spirit and move accordingly. All right. Be ye steadfast, unmovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord, for as much as ye know that your labor is not in vain in the Lord. Again, that should energize you, motivate you, and incentivize you. That is what you're supposed to remember when you get weary. That is what you're supposed to remember when hard times come, when difficulties arise. All right. Is that your labor is not in vain in the Lord. All right. So even when no one is watching, all right, even when it feels like it's not working, even when you feel like you're standing alone, your labor is not in vain. Even when they're shadow banning you and they're not allowing the masses to see your videos, even when they're only allowing, 2% or 5% of your subscribers to even see that your videos are being released, even when you see those views going down and those likes going down, and maybe you see your subscribership going down, it's reducing, you're losing subscribers, don't lose heart. Your labor is not in vain. Each one reach one. If you got one person out there following you and listening to you, you have a great duty to that individual. It may be that the Most High only wants you to be able to help this one person. Not everybody and not a lot of people. It's one person that he has in mind who he wants you to affect their lives positively. You get it? So that's what you got to remember. And you got to expect these kind of things to happen. And you got to rejoice when these things happen, because all of these things are the working of our power. All right. So what's next? We got to understand that obedience is greater than sacrifice. All right. Again, that's the reason why, as part of the reason why the sacrificial, system was done away with. Again, a part of the reason why. There was multiple reasons why. All right. But part of it was that, the Most High was doing a new thing. He said, I'm going to do a new thing, right? Which means it's not going to be the old thing, which means people don't know what they're talking about when they say the Most High, he changed not. So the law of Moses is always in effect because he changed not. But even he has told you that, there would be a time when he would do a new thing in the earth, right? Absolutely. All right. And so we are in a time when he is requiring from us obedience and not sacrifice. All right. Because our people used to sacrifice and then they went right back to being disobedient. Right. They were using the ability to sacrifice as um incentive to sin, to be disobedient. All right, yeah, I'm gonna do XYZ and then I'll just sacrifice and be good and then keep doing it. All right. So let's go to 1 Samuel 15, verse 22. And Samuel said, hath Yahawah Bahashem Yahawashi as great delight in burnt offerings and sacrifices as in obeying the voice of the Lord? Yahawah Bahashem Yahawashi. Behold, to obey is better than sacrifice, and to hearken than the fat of rams. All right. For rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft, and stubbornness is as iniquity and idolatry. All right. Stubbornness is as iniquity and idolatry. Because thou hast rejected the word of the Lord, he hath also rejected thee from being king. And, we men, listen, many of us are predestined to be kings and priests. All right. But those of us who are not predestined to be kings and priests, they're being rejected. They're going to be rejected because these are the same people who are rejecting the word. So that's how you know that they aren't destined to be the kings and priests. Their rejection of the word is the proof. Okay. So a lot of brothers and sisters, they burn out trying to do great things for Yahawah. But what he's really looking for is consistent obedience, faithful prayer, consistent reading. honoring him in the little things, right? That's what proves dedication. So Yahawashi, he sees the quiet ones. All right. You don't got to be loud and boisterous, and you don't need to be an Israelite celebrity. We see what happens when you try to become an Israelite celebrity, right? When you try to become the most popular Israelite, right? So Revelation 3, verse 8. I know thy works, and behold, I have set before thee an open door, and no man can shut it. All right. So you see that no one can shut this door on us if you are predestined for it. All right. No matter what they do or what they say, no spirit, no man, no woman. All right. So again, be strong and be of good courage. All right. And it says, for thou hast a little strength and hast kept my word. All right. Because we have a little strength. We are not very strong. We are all subject to pressures and the ills of this world. All right. We have a little strength, but we have kept his word. If you keep his word, even with that little strength, all right, and has not denied my name. All right. So you might not be the loudest, right, or the strongest. You might not be on all platforms. You might not be on any platforms. But if you're faithful, if you've kept his word with even a little strength, Yahawashi sees you and he's coming with a reward. All right. So, we go through ebbs and flows as people. That's natural. All right. So you gotta understand, you know, when, again, peaks and valleys, right? When you are in the valley, when you are finding yourself in the valley, you got to learn how to stir up the gift again. All right. How to rekindle the fire, right? How to put gasoline on that fire to help it blaze again. All right. 2 Timothy chapter 1, verse 6. Wherefore I put thee in remembrance that thou stir up the gift of the Most High, which is in thee by the putting on of my hands. For the Most High hath not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. So our Father has not given us the spirit of fear. He has given us the spirit of power, the spirit of love, and the spirit of a sound mind. You see? And so we all get weary. All right, that's inevitable. But sometimes we just need to stir the flame again. All right, ignite the flame again, fan the flame again. All right, get back to what got us on fire in the first place. Right, reignite our purpose, reconnect to the work. And and what we got to do is we got to fight off that spirit of fear and discouragement because those are spirits. All right, and you got to fight them off, but you got to fight them off with prayer and with the word. You see, that's your shield and buckler. All right. Put on the whole armor of the Most High. Okay. So Yahawah rewards faithful servants. This is what we know. He constantly tells us this. Yahawashi told us this, and we constantly see this example all throughout the scriptures, right? So again, that should also be your motivation. What constantly incentivizes you when you consider it, every time you think about it. All right. It should make you feel good, and it should keep you steady, steadfast, unmovable. All right. So Matthew 25, verse 21. His Lord said unto him, well done, thou good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler over many things. Enter thou into the joy of thy Lord. Brothers, in this ministry, we are laboring in order to be those kings and priests. We know that our Lord, our Father, through our King Yahawashi, is going to rule and reign in this earth. But again, the master of delegation, right? The way any good CEO or business owner would do. especially when they have a large company, right? They would delegate to give people under them responsibilities over their affairs. And this is exactly what our Father plans to do. Yes, this is what Yahawashi plans to do. All right. As he is the king of the whole earth, he will have men under him. Again, he's the king of kings, right? The Lord of lords. And that's us, right? Those of us who will be chosen. And I believe I am of that number. I'm not going to hope that I am. I'm going to claim it. I believe it. I feel it. And I have the faith. So I'm going to stand on my faith. All right. I'm going to stand on my faith. And so if we remain faithful, he will make us rulers over many things, meaning over many, things like people, countries, land masses, right? Provinces, whatever it is you want to call it, because Yahawashi will set up his men to all rule a region. You just got to see it. You got to understand where this thing is going. All right. This is where we're going. And so if you feel like you are one of those individuals and that is your destiny, that is what you are predestined to, well, this is what's required for you. This is the type of scripture that should incentivize you and motivate you, all right, to be a good and faithful servant. You see the reward for being a good and faithful servant. Always think this life is temporal. The world to come is eternal. What would I like things to be? What would I want things to be like for me for an eternity? Forget what they are like for you right now in this temporary place and space. What will they be like for you with eternity? Well, I want to be a ruler. I want to be a king and a priest under my king and high priest. I want to be one of the men that he calls good and faithful servant. I want to be one of the men that he makes a ruler over many things. I want to enter into the joy of my Lord. That's what I want. And I understand that this takes dedicated service. See, that's the goal, right? So that's what we want to hear, right? Not depart from me, ye that work iniquity, not I don't know you or I never knew you. No, but well done. That's the desire, right? Not you fell off, right? You took your hands off the plow. You turned back, all right? All right. You stayed the course is what you want to hear, right? That reward isn't for the perfect. Never says it. That reward is for the faithful. Okay. So if you have fallen or if you fall, get back up. Get back up. Don't let the world beat you down. Don't let your circumstances defeat you. All right. Let's go to Proverbs 24, verse 16. Here's some encouragement for you. For a just man falleth 7 times, or many times you can read this, and riseth up again. But the wicked shall fall into mischief. The wicked are going to fall and they're going to keep falling and they're going to remain in mischief. But a just man, he'll fall many times and rise up again. All right. That's your predestination. It is placed in you to do so. So you will. And if you can't, and if you don't, hey, it just means that you aren't one of the people who that's their lot. And they were given that strength to be able to do so. You know what I mean? So we all fall. We all struggle. But dedicated service means we get back up again and again until we cross that finish line. All right. So you were not called to be average. You are sons and daughters of the heavenly highest. The creator of all things is your father. All right. You weren't chosen to be lukewarm. All right. Though there are others who that's their lot, and that will be to their shame. All right. You weren't saved to be stagnant, although it happens. All right. You were called to be faithful, to be strong, to serve, to endure. All right. Stay the course, reignite your purpose, shake off the distractions, and remember that Yahawashi is watching your service, and he knows the heart that you're doing it with. He knows whether it's begrudgingly. He knows if you're a cheerful giver. He knows if this is a labor of love for you. You see? Or if you're just doing so because you feel compelled. All right. So that's the end of this one. That concludes this one, man. This one, I don't need to beat this one into the ground, man. I believe that, through the commentary and the scriptures combined, somebody, has gotten out of this what the spirit intended for them to receive. Call Halayim La Yahawah Ba'Shem Hamashiach Yahawashi Waharakak Wadash. I'll see you guys on the next one. Yahawah willing. Each one, reach one. Shalom.